This is Chapter 8, Lesson 5, Guided Practice, talking about congruence. Number 1 wants you to write congruent statements comparing the corresponding parts in each set of congruent figures. All you really need to do is show that angles that are corresponding are congruent and the sides that are corresponding are also congruent. So you have angle F is congruent to angle H, which shows it right here. G is congruent to angle G, and angle E is congruent to angle J. Then you have F to G is congruent to H to G, which you would write like this. F to E is congruent to H to J. Then you see that E to G is congruent to line J to G. Number 2 is just a little bit trickier because looks like they turned it and then flipped it. But W is congruent to X. U is congruent to Y. And then S is congruent to T. Then you can see that line WU is congruent to XY. US is congruent to YT. And SW is congruent to TX. Oops. Change the color. And voila. For number 3, you can see that they share an angle, so they're going to be congruent to each other. Then you have D is congruent to B. And then C is kind of the same situation. They share an angle, so they are congruent, obviously. Then you show AD is congruent to AB. DC is congruent to BC. And then AC is equal to AC. Okay, go ahead and write down number 4 exactly the way it looks here. Make sure if your paper doesn't have these little notches to go ahead and write those because you need to get used to the fact that it's showing who's congruent to who. Okay, go ahead and make sure you do number 5. Write it out at the... Okay, once you copy it down, you're done. Go ahead and flip it over to the independent side. And you're done.